Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well today. So, I've had a surprisingly good reaction to my first few reactions, so to speak. I've had quite a few comments, which has been good. I'm thrilled to see that everyone seems to enjoy it and seems to like just hearing me talk absolute nonsense about songs that I enjoy. But today, we're actually starting on recording a few of the requests that we've had come in. Black Sabbath are a band that obviously I know. You know, they've been around for a long time. They're very, very famous. I feel like it's almost impossible to get into metal without having heard of Black Sabbath at some point. But in terms of songs I actually have listened to from them, you're talking, I think, I've heard Paranoid quite a few times. I've heard Iron Man quite a few times. War Pigs, I think I've heard as well. But yeah, I've never really properly sat down and listened to Black Sabbath. And so today we're going to change that to a certain extent. So I'm going to listen to one of their songs that was recommended by Grimrai, I believe is how you pronounce it. I can't remember. Yeah, we're going to listen to Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. And I don't know anything about this song. I try, when I'm doing these first reactions, I want to actually come in as blind as possible. I'm still debating if I want to look up like lyrics and things like that in advance. I've not done any of that for this time. So we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into it. It's 3.5 minute song, so hopefully it shouldn't be too long. Yeah, without any further ado, let's just get started on the song. I like how the song just got started straight away. No messing about. This is a lot more upbeat than I was expecting, I think. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. Oh, listen to the guitar in the background. It's so nice. The light kind of high plucking. Love it. Alright, we'll pause there for now. I think it's a good place to stop. We've got through. I don't know if you would. I guess I don't really know the rest of the song, so I'm not sure if that was the chorus or if that was maybe just like a pre-chorus or whatever. But no, so far I surprisingly quite like it. Black Sabbath, in a lot of, to be honest, a lot of the early runners in metal, I'm very hit and miss on if I can get into it. And I feel like a lot of that can also come down to the recording quality. Because naturally, you know, Black Sabbath, I think, started in the 70s. Might have been literally very early 70s, late 60s, I'm not sure. But they started around about then. And so the recording quality naturally isn't going to be as good as modern day recording. That's obvious. And I feel like in Black Sabbath's case, that recording quality actually gives a very kind of specific sound to them that's unique to, not unique to Black Sabbath, but to an extent it's unique to Black Sabbath, I feel. Because even though a lot of songs kind of sound this tinny way, I suppose you would think of it, I feel like the way Black Sabbath use it is pretty consistent across all of their songs. But what that does mean is, for me personally, I'm very hit or miss on if I'm in the mood to basically listen to that. I'm a very, you know, I'm a millennial, I'm a modern boy. I like songs that have been recorded on kind of more up to date equipment. I really enjoy this so far, and I really liked the way that it kind of dropped out. And I think I said this in one of the other videos as well, probably the one on Shivering. I like it when you get that kind of reprise and a break from the sound, because especially in a lot of metal, I feel like it's very easy to drop into the trap of just making a wall of sound. And this is actually an issue that I've had with Metallica quite a lot, and in quite a lot of their songs, to be honest. I think there was it Ride the Lightning? I can't remember. There was one album specifically that was like famous by Metallica for just being a wall of sound the entire time. Like the way that it was produced, it was essentially just a wall of compressed sound. And that's one thing I really don't like about Metallica. I like quite a few Metallica songs, but it's always the kind of softer, quieter ones, or at least the ones that have a bit more dynamics in them. And I really like that about this as well. I love the dynamics, where you get started high energy, you're going pretty upbeat, pretty just clean sounding vocals from Ozzy, and then it drops out into that really gorgeous guitar backing with not a lot of other instrumentation kind of going on, and Ozzy's just doing kind of the soft singing. And I really like when they introduce those dynamics into the song. I think it just improves things so much. Whereas it would be very easy in a song like this to just go and go, and that can be fine for some songs, but the high energy parts hit harder when you have those moments where you can breathe and stop. And I think that's really quite important. And to be fair, again, I've not really listened to a lot of Black Sabbath stuff, but what I have listened to, they do that, across most of the songs that I've heard. So, they've clearly thought of that. It's clearly part of their style. They're not really the type to just do a wall of sound like your Metallica, for example. I'm picking on Metallica a lot this video, and I feel bad because they're one of the most beloved metal bands on the planet. Metallica aren't so much for me, I'm not going to lie, and it's controversial opinion, but let's just leave that in the middle of the video, hope that nobody picks on me for it. We'll go back very slightly and keep going. I'm also struck by how young they all are. It's really funny because I'm so used to just seeing Ozzy and Tommy as, older men, and it's weird seeing them at this age. For me. Their guitar tones are really nice. And I think... Sorry, I'm just going to pause again because I just want to quickly mention something. Something that, you notice with a lot of modern metal is that the guitars, the vocals, everything kind of... The average metal band moved a lot more distorted. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing at all, because I enjoy a lot of that music. But it is just true that when you go back to the early stages of metal, when you think of a metal band from, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, it's a lot cleaner a sound. And a lot of that's probably to do with, a lot of the equipment was very ad hoc, I guess you would say. They were having to produce their own equipment because the standard guitar manufacturers and the standard manufacturers for the guitars and amps and things like that didn't prepare for heavy music, basically. But definitely they have a lot cleaner tone, even though you would still consider them metal. And that's something that I had to basically learn, because my first experience with metal was things like metalcore and more modern metal, which is a lot more distorted, and sort of grasp at what actually makes something metal when you're not just looking at distortion, which a lot of cases it can be. You hear distortion, you're like, that's metal. But it's not always so simple, because there's plenty of songs that are metal songs that don't really have much distortion in them at all. And this has distortion in the guitars, but it's a different kind of distortion. It's a bit more... would you say crunchy? I'm not sure. But it is still quite a clean tone. I would consider this still a clean tone as far as vocals and guitar work goes. It's something that I definitely had to get used to, but I'm really enjoying this song so far. And then it gets really funky in these wee down parts, which is interesting. Like, it's not very often you'll sway to a metal song, you know? See, there's that. You can hear how it's quite muffled, and I think that's just the recording process back then, you know. It's just one of those things. But it's really hit and miss for me sometimes. It's funny seeing all the old kind of brutalist architecture throughout the music video here. Is that a tambourine? In my right ear, there sounds like there's a tambourine. Ooh. Ooh. That's the end of the song? Jeez, that just stopped. Interesting. I wonder if that's supposed to fade into the next song on the album. Because that just kind of, you know, it did a little breakdown like dun 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 dun, and then it just faded and just stopped. Interesting. I wonder if that's meant to fade in. Oh well. Okay, I think we'll just go to final thoughts then. So I think I talked a lot about what I wanted to talk about throughout that, and it's just one of those things with, you know, for example, the recording period. I'm looking it up, and this album was released in 1973, which is their fifth album, so they must have been around in the 60s. For some reason I thought they might have started in the 70s, but it means they must have been around in the 60s. Like they could have done 5 albums in 3 years, I guess. But so just one of the things that comes with recording back in, you know, 70s, 80s. You hear it to an extent through some of your 90s music, but it's a different kind of, I guess, old sounding equipment. Whereas I feel like a lot of this stuff has quite a tinny sound. It doesn't capture too much bass in the sound, I would say. Again, I'm not really a music producer. I can only go off what I've actually listened to within songs. Really am hit and miss on that sound. However, this was a good song. I really did enjoy this song. It's not particularly overwhelming. It's not particularly crazy or anything like that. But it's good fun. You know, for a Black Sabbath song, it's pretty good fun. It's got a bit of heaviness in there. It's got the dynamics to kind of pull back and then come into the heaviness again, and then it goes to the solo, that sort of thing. And then you got a little bit of a, you know, I guess what you would call an early breakdown at the end there. But yeah, I actually quite enjoyed that. I was expecting to like that less than I did, if that makes sense. If I was going to rank it, I would probably say, you know, 7.5, 8 out of 10. In terms of the actual song and the writing of it, it's very good. But in terms of just listenability for me, it's again just that barrier of the older sound of the recordings. The song was good, the music video was fun, and overall, yeah, just an interesting listen. And I guess the sound was about what I could have expected for Black Sabbath, except for the pullbacks, the where everything kind of dropped out and it went a bit slower, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that really added so much to the song. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for this request, Grimrai. I might visit more Black Sabbath and sort of a lot of the kind of older metal that perhaps has passed me by because I've been too into the modern stuff. But thank you for watching, and don't forget to leave your suggestions in the comments. I'm going to try and do as many as I can, sort of go through them. If a video doesn't come out right, I might not upload it, but I've uploaded everything I've recorded so far, so it seems like it's going well. I'm happy with it. But thank you very much for coming on this reaction journey with me and getting started. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!